This is Tripoint Conversations, and I'm your host, Christina Lowe. And today I'm joined by Jennifer Kattula. Jen is the Chief Marketing Officer of Microsoft Advertising, a global marketing leader, speaker, and mom of two. But what drew me to Jen was not just the title, it was the way she has taken the same systems she uses in business and applied it to her life at home. She talks about building an ambitious life with intention, not just trying to survive the calendar. Through her house rules work, she helps families think through things like mission, values, rhythms, default decisions, and what matters when life gets busy. And as a mom, I love this because so many of us are trying to do all the things, but without an operating system behind it. So today we're going to talk about ambition, motherhood, family systems, leadership, and what it looks like to build a life on purpose. Jen, I'm really glad you're here.
I am so glad to be here, Christina. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. So I want to start with the thing that really stood out to me when I found you. You were leading this high-profile corporate career, but what you're talking about now is not just about business systems, it's life systems. When did you start realizing that those two worlds were connected?
There's a couple story points here that I'll go into, and I'll probably kind of go back in time to 2013, 2014. And this was the first time that I ever had my own executive coach. Mm-hmm. And through that, I think I worked with this woman. She was amazing for about a year. And I finally felt like I understood why I was the way I was. And we went deep into a lot of identity work. And I started to realize, I have all of these amazing strengths and I have all of these triggers and baggage and like defaults from how I was raised and even how my parents were raised, like what they brought into our home life. And those were the reasons why I was the way I was. And there's no judgment in that. It's just, it is. And when I finally learned why, I was able to kind of work with myself in a totally different way, in a more, a way of acceptance, first of all. And then where I sort of didn't judge myself for reasons why I got triggered or, why I reacted in certain ways in certain situations. So that was one real moment for me, or probably a year or so when I was working with this coach that opened me up to a different way of being. And I kind of got hooked on this concept of identity work. And so I kept doing it for myself. Every year I would do visioning. I would check in with my vision. And what I realized in doing that is I was able to actually achieve goals faster, be more focused, be more intentional with how I spend my time. And when my husband and I started dating and we decided we wanted to get married, we were actually going long distance. And we went away for a weekend and we talked about, what is it going to be like if one of us moves to the other city and we get engaged and we get married? What is our life really going to look like? Because we weren't living in the same city. And we decided at that moment to write our own vision doc for ourselves. And in true fashion, my husband is a writer. He's a former journalist and a former PR exec. And I'm a former engineer.
Yes.
So he wrote this one pager and I built the Excel spreadsheet that had the criteria for what city we were going to live in with all the ratings and the rubric and the scoring. And that was kind of the first time we actually did that work. And we've kept doing it over the years and we've kept revisiting it and refining it. And I think that's what kind of brought me to this concept of house rules in the first place. So yeah, and it's been a journey. It's been good. And I think every season of your life, you are adapting, after you have your first kid, after you have your second kid, you move, you change jobs, and you have to continue to recalibrate. So that's what we've been doing. And that's what I've really been talking about a lot because in my network, I know a lot of people that do this kind of visioning and intentionality, But when I talk to people about do they do that with their partners, there's not a lot of people that raise their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's a real opportunity to help guide people on how to actually do that with your partner. And then, as your kids get older, how to enroll your kids into it as well. So everyone can be, pointed in the same direction and really honoring what matters to each individual and what
Yeah,
matters to the family as a whole.
that makes sense. And you talked about it. You did start as an engineer and then moved into a global marketing leader. How do you think that engineering mindset helps shape the way you're looking at work and family and decisions now?
Yeah. So I think this is like how my brain works. I've always
Hmm.
thought this. I studied chemical engineering. I was always good at math and science, but the engineering field that I really excelled in was computer engineering or computer science. And I think my brain is just really logical. It thinks in systems. I can't handle it when there's like things that are not connected to the other thing.
Hmm.
So the relationship between things in a system is really what gets me going. And I don't know, I thought everybody thought this way. And then I sort of realized like, oh no, this is a very like engineering kind of approach to the world and to
Hmm.
life. And when I thought about, okay, let's apply this to my home life, the systems are kind of what reduces the friction. So I can focus on the things that I want to focus on, either
Hmm.
what I am uniquely good at or only I can do, or things that bring me joy. And so then those systems can kind of run in the background on autopilot once they're in place and once they're designed. Because like you said at the top, we're all like, we're all trying to like do more than there are hours in the day.
Yes.
And it's just not possible. It leads to burnout.
Hmm.
And I think there's a lot of narratives out there that are so polarizing. It's like lean in, or nice girls don't get the corner office,
Hmm.
or slow life and trad wife. And I just feel like they're so polarizing. And I think it's less about, aligning to a specific doctrine and
Hmm.
really figuring out like what that identity layer is so that you can build the systems on top of it.
So then talk to me about the house rules where you have created these systems. I know you have content out there, you're
Yeah.
creating an app. What is your goal with the house rules systems and the app and the content?
Yeah, well, I want to share first and foremost my approach because I think
Hmm.
it's really helpful and I've gotten feedback that it is helpful. And the approach for house rules really is 4 layers. The first, which is the most important, is the identity layer. So it's doing the work as a family of who you are, what matters to you, what your priorities are, what your values are, what you're bringing in from your own upbringing, and then really like what you want your kids to say when they leave the house. Like, what do you
Hmm.
want your legacy to be as they carry it forward to their families? So, the identity layer is super important.
Hmm.
And part of the problem with like building an identity layer is we see so many other identities out there on social media and it can feel very ungrounding. And they're sometimes in misalignment with each other and they're not totally yours.
Hmm.
And that is work that should be done and it should be nurtured and cared for over the course of your life. Like it evolves. So identity is one. On top of that is systems. And I really do talk about systems a lot with house rules because it's very tangible and like people get it really quickly. So
Hmm.
a couple of systems just to share are like default decisions. These are decisions you're going to make once and you're not going to revisit it. So everything from like your staple meals to your grocery order, to having like a gift closet and having standardized gifts for kids' birthdays, which I know every parent, it stresses them out. So things like that, where you've made the decision once. A lot of I sort of dress in this way a lot of times, like a very neutral staple wardrobe, a staple silhouette. So like I don't have to keep renegotiating or relitigating with myself or anyone in the house. This is just how we're going to do it.
Which I think was interesting when I was listening to one of it, and it was just breakfast for the kids. And it seemed, I'll say, simple, but as you were describing it, it kind of gave me permission to think about it's okay to tell the kids there's not 5 different options. Maybe you have 2, and that's it. And maybe we go with these options for a while, and then we'll switch it up. But I don't have to give them 5 to 6 options every morning. It's one option. Here's what you're having for this week.
Totally. It does. It takes the mental load off because it's not just you carrying it, it's your kids too. Like that's a lot to decide and a lot to carry when you're a kid and you're like, oh, I have 5 things. And then you start to mix it up even more. Like I want a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We all know how that goes. So default decisions are one example. The 2-for-1 is another example that I personally love. It's like going on a walk and taking a meeting at the same time. It's super simple, but like as you start to think about what your day looks like, how can you stack a couple things together on top of each other? It's also the routines and rhythms you have on a daily and then weekly, monthly, yearly basis. So for me, it's, what do we do every single week? Like Saturdays, we are always going to the Chattahoochee and going on a walk or a hike. The structures of our day are always the same. The days the kids get TV are always the same. So those kind of rhythms and rituals really matter. So those are the systems. And then the next layer is technology. And like, how are we all using technology to get some of this mental load off of our plate? I actually talk quite a lot about how to use AI to do this. And it matters for work and for personal. And for work, I have a couple of different agents that I have running on a regular basis to just keep me on track and to help me connect information with insights so that I can do my job better. Again, one of my rules at work and at home is spending my time doing things that only I can do, and doing the things that bring me joy. So at work, I lead a big team. I should be spending my time like on the strategy, on making decisions, and I also like creating things. I'm a marketer, and every marketer you talk to will say, I like to make things. I want to like get out of the admin and do the making. So I like to spend my time doing those things. And then at home, I'm building a chief of staff for my, all the things going on with the kids, like 2 different schools, multiple camps, a million activities, plus content creation, plus, other things that are going on personally, just to keep me focused and organized. And that system and that technology is not going to work unless I've been clear with it on what my priorities are and what matters to me. So it goes back to identity. And then the top layer, which I actually haven't talked about quite enough, I would say, is aesthetics. So my belief is that we feel good when the things around us look like we want them to look. How we present ourselves in our home, ourselves, like what our like visual brand is, if you will, because it matters. And I remember my mom would always say, like, if your head looks good, you feel good. And it's stuck with me my whole life. I actually think like if you all look good, you feel good.
Yeah.
And that's so true with moms, and especially that how we present ourselves to the world is part of our identity. And we want to feel really aligned with that. We want it to feel coherent and cohesive, how our houses look, how people feel when they come into our house. So even things down to like, what is our signature scent and what's our color palette? I think it really matters. And I I don't know if we've done enough to connect the identity to the aesthetics. So it's definitely an area that I want to spend more time talking about through the House Rules platform. Then the last thing you asked, I am sorry, I keep talking.
No, this is such good information.
On and on. So I'm working on an app that will help families actually build their house rules, because I am saying all of this and I think a lot of people look at me like deer in the headlights. How am I supposed to write a mission statement? Or how do I really know what my house rules are? Or, oh my gosh, what is a manifesto? And I don't even know like how to start. Like it's the blank page syndrome.
Yeah.
So it's essentially a guided conversation that goes into a lot of different areas of your life, your own upbringing, your own ambitions for your family, your values, and then what are the rituals you already have and what do those mean to you? And what do your kids say about you? And like right now, what are they going to say in 20 years when they're out of the house? So it's basically a guided conversation that will produce this really beautiful document that has the values and the mission and the house rules and then a longer manifesto. The people I've shared it with, it's still like password protected right now because I'm fiddling with it. I'm still I have a full-time job. So
yes,
this is why it's taking a long time. But the thing they've said to me that makes me feel like this is totally on the right track is they say, I feel so seen. And Christina, I will share it with you for sure. And I have a PDF workbook that people could do on their own, but I think the guided conversation is actually more powerful because it's like having a coach that's kind of walking you through all of this.
Now you talk about family values and systems. Is there one that you work to implement that just did not execute as well as you thought with the family?
I can share one specifically for me and one for the family that has been very inconsistent. So the one for me, I've tried this over and over and over again to be a 5 a.m. person, like to get up before everybody else and have my quiet time or have my workout. And it is one of those things that like does not work for me. It is a bad fit for my own like body clock. It's a bad fit for everything. So I have accepted the fact that I'm not a 5 a.m. person and I have to find systems throughout the day that that work with me. And then the other one that we've been really inconsistent with, but I absolutely love, is special time. So we do this very simple thing with both of our kids. It's 5 minutes of special time after dinner each. So like one-on-one. It's only 5 minutes. The kids absolutely love it. They get to choose what we're going to do. And there's a whole thing about it. It's like they're the leader. We're just kind of observing and doing what they tell us to do. They absolutely love it. And we've been really inconsistent with it for a lot of reasons. You know, sports, late sports, all of the things. But now that it's summer, we've started to re-implement it because we have just more time and we don't have as many commitments in the evenings. And, but yeah, it's one of those things that we say, okay, we're going to have to let this go on a daily basis.
And what is one family rhythm that has made the biggest difference in your home?
I would say I think it's a commitment to get outside every single day and get outside quite a lot. This actually started with my husband. When my son was born, he would take Leo outside every night before we would put him down for bed to like calm, cool, fresh air. It just changed his demeanor and calmed him down. And since then, we've realized that outdoor fresh air, like a lot of it, is essential for happy kids. So we're very committed to it. And depending on what the day looks like, it's usually 2 or 3 times a day that we're getting the kids outside. And we have to model it as well. So going outside and getting our exercise and kind of prioritizing like outdoor exercise over going to the gym.
Mm-hmm. And what about default decisions? When you talk about that, where do you see families wasting the most energy because they have not made a decision in advance?
Um, I know this is a really simple example, but I am actually shocked about how many people are not consistent with meal planning,
Mm-hmm.
um, and don't have their staple meals, and every week is sort of like a free for all of what are we making, who are we cooking for,
Yeah.
and I think I don't know why that is actually. Like, is it?
We
I
struggle
think
with
it's
that too at our house because I
yeah.
know
I
you
mean,
always hear meal plan and just have a couple staples, but then
yeah.
maybe it's the guilt of feeling like you also have to provide a variety for the kids. And
I think that's what it is. It's a
mm-hmm.
guilt around the variety. Like, no, we don't have to give so many different options. I
Mm-hmm.
will tell you this. I need to do a video on this. This is how we keep it interesting. I make like homemade sauces that are
Mm-hmm.
different, and they all come with the same base. It's like sour cream or yogurt or oil and lemon, and mix different things in it that I always have in the house.
Yeah.
And that kind of like makes every meal feel special. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just a sauce or a dip or something like that. But I do think meal planning can be a lot easier. And I know so many people stress about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or the kitchen itself is intimidating, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I have to chop some vegetables and marinate the chicken and do X, Y, or Z. And it gets intimidating, and the
Mm-hmm.
cleanup gets intimidating. So I think working on maybe building one night a week and building up from there of like,
Mm-hmm.
here's the night we do homemade pizza, or here's the night we do our vegetable soup, and then building out from there is where I would recommend everybody start.
So starting with a couple staples throughout the week, but then every once in a while bringing in some other options, so it doesn't
Totally.
feel like you're doing the
Yeah,
same thing every single week.
exactly.
Okay, so you have two kids, a successful career. Now you're building this house rules platform as well. When you think about ambition without letting it take over your whole house, what does that look like, or is there balance?
I have to balance myself.
Hmm.
I know you resonate this, and your audience will resonate with this. Like, having so many passions
Hmm.
is so exciting on the one hand, and then so exhausting on the other, because my head is constantly pinging me new ideas
Yes.
all the time, and I have to just write them down or get them out of my head and put them down. And um, I think it's just how this community is wired, right?
Hmm.
Like, how do you balance it? And what I say is just I have to focus, and I have to tell myself, this is what I say in work and in life. What are the 3 to 5 things I'm going to crush during
Hmm.
this particular season? It's been about 3 years that I said to myself, I'm going to take up painting. Like, this is another passion of mine. And I'm like, I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big endeavor to get the stuff out
Hmm.
and do it well, and like do the reps to do it well. That's just not happening right now. A few years ago, I had like tennis as my goal,
Hmm.
and like it's not on my plan right now. So for me, it's just narrowing it down to 3 to 5 things, and then putting everything else in the list.
Because it's not just a passion, but if, yes, similar is it's a passion, but then wanting to do the best at it and make it the
Yeah,
best. Yeah.
I feel proud, like
Hmm.
feel proud, feel like I finished it.
Hmm.
Um, and I learned something. Not I didn't just do it to get it done. I actually
Yes.
like learned in the process.
Yeah. So you can only do so much at a time. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you think about leadership, leading professionally and at home, is there a leadership principle that you've brought in to both places that has helped you out?
Let's see. I feel like I've said it before, in this conversation, but there's a few. One is making sure like you're not overextending yourself. So like the 3 to 5 things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of leadership is prioritization and helping
Mm-hmm.
your team prioritize and making sure your team is focused on their strengths. So I'm definitely a strengths-based leader. And I bring that into the house. So the example for the house is my husband and I, we actually have different roles. And we have like, I am the chief financial officer and the chief travel planner, and my
Mm-hmm.
husband is the chief operating officer. And so I say that kind of like jokingly, but we have different things that we do in the house that we're
Mm-hmm.
like fully responsible for. And it works because we're playing to our strengths,
Mm-hmm.
we're playing to our schedules. Um, we're we're figuring out how we can work best together without tripping over each other or needing to like co-decide on every decision. And
Yeah.
one thing that I've learned in management and leadership is really deciding what does done look like and what does good look like.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we are aligned on what done and good look like, there are a million ways to fold a piece of clothing or, to load the dishwasher or whatever it is. Just we have our own different ways of doing things and approaches, and that is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an element of letting go too once you are aligned on the goal and the expectation. And obviously, like we're going to talk about the big
Yeah.
decisions and things like that, but it's allowed us to move fast together
Mm-hmm.
and move forward together versus having to like talk at every little step in the way. I also think great leadership is like care and empathy, and you have to bring that into your house too. We are a unit and we're all individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're not honoring individual interests and passions and feelings, then and only focused on the family unit, that's not going to work. We have to do a little bit of both and honor both.
Mm-hmm.
So those are probably the things that I bring in from work leadership into the house that I think really, really work.
And being okay with that. I know some people are like, oh, who's managing the finances? And whether it's finances or planning your next trip, you both don't have to do it. You have to be aware of it. But it's
Yes.
okay to let someone else handle it because if you're both handling it, then yeah, it is duplicating efforts. Um, yeah, being aware versus handling is very different.
100%. 100%. And we do our best to make sure we're like keeping each other informed on
Mm-hmm.
all the things that require inform. Some things don't really require inform, but yeah, I think you're totally right there.
So for someone listening who feels like their house or calendar of meals or activities and work are all running around instead of running with them, where should they start to get that alignment?
I think what I would recommend is to spend an hour with yourself
Mm-hmm.
and write down what is important to you in this season. And if you're with a partner, sit down with your partner. What is important in this season for your family? Split out some roles and responsibilities. Take some things off the board if you need to, and then go through some systems that you can put into place. Like, what are your default? What are things that both of you and your partner don't need to do? What can you
Mm-hmm.
outsource? What can be your decisions that you make once that you don't have to keep making? Where are areas that you can have a 2-for-1? And that time is going to be time well spent. I would also say, like, the way my husband and I started this is we had our weekly meeting. We called it the Cabernet because we had a classic Cabernet every week, and we don't need to have that weekly meeting anymore because we're like really in sync now. But that's how we
Mm-hmm.
started it, because it's not like you fall into this pattern.
Yeah.
You have to be really intentional about creating the pattern, and then you get better at it. And there's going to be a feedback loop too. Like
Mm-hmm.
what is working, that reflection is really important. So I think just really tactically and practically, like spend an hour with your partner, put something on the schedule, and then make sure you have the feedback loop. Like everybody loved homemade pizza this week. They totally hated salmon and broccoli. We're not going to do that again. We'll like
Mm-hmm.
pick another meal to try next time. So, and I don't think that's a big investment of time. It's space for your
Mm-hmm.
brain to like let it marinate, let it sink in, get get alignment, and then continue to calibrate and recalibrate.
And it's being intentional, putting that maybe even
Totally.
on the calendar so you know exactly what time it is going to be, what part of the day, and then sitting down and doing it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And you also talked about AI. How do you work personally with AI to build your systems or just within your household?
Um, yeah, I'm maybe overly obsessed and optimistic about AI as a tool, like a thought partner tool.
Mm-hmm.
I it so for my personal life, I actually do have an entire sort of chief of staff set up that builds a daily briefing for me, which is what I need to do that day. It looks at my calendar, it looks at my email, it flags any emails that look urgent for my kids' schools, anything financial related, um, any sort of scheduling thing. And same with my calendar, conflicts, like who's doing this pickup, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know somebody could say, well, obviously you could look at your Gmail and just do that. I think one of the things I've learned about myself is going to a bunch of different places for information and having me put it together leads to almost like a lack of compliance. Like I previous to this system, sometimes I wouldn't look at my Gmail for like days.
Mm-hmm.
And it would get out of control and I would miss things. And if you've had your Gmail for years, you know what it looks like. It is overwhelming. There's too much
Mm-hmm.
happening there. So for me, like building the system is really about compliance and like how can I create something that I will use that's easy for me to use and works in the way that I like to work. I use voice a lot, so
Okay.
I've had it set up so I can just use voice. I can talk to it. I have it hooked up to my phone so I can talk to my phone and go back to it. Like I said, we have all these ideas in our
Mm-hmm.
heads. I have like an idea inbox that I literally open my phone and I just drop a note in, or a to do that I just comes into my head randomly. So the daily briefing really is everything. It's sort of my content plan. It's results and analytics from content as well. Um, and it puts it all together. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's kind of my command center, if you will, for everything that I'm doing. And I don't have other things on top of that. Like, of course, I use AI to do some travel planning
Yeah.
and analyze like health results and things like that. But those feel a little bit more one-off than like this is a system
Mm-hmm.
that is intended to get better over time. And so I've built that into the instructions, like learn how I like to write, learn that you need to be very detail oriented and don't let things fall through the cracks. But it's been awesome because I am more on top of things with less effort.
And so, which AI platform are you using or do you recommend?
So I've used them all.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at work, I use Copilot, and I
Mm-hmm.
have almost like a very similar system set up with Copilot, but for work because it has access to all of my work files. And at home, I use Claude.
Okay. And I have heard, yeah, making sure to set up your writing style, your personality, your background, and then starting there and upload it. So it knows to go back to it every single time before it starts a project.
Exactly, exactly. One thing that I like to do is when I have new pieces of writing that I am really proud of, I will feed that in and say,
Hmm.
use this to improve your writing style. So it gets better. It can get better over time.
Hmm. Now, for agents, have you created, or which agents have you created, or have you created like a board of directors to
I
guide your
do. I
decisions? Yeah.
actually do have a board of directors. That's so funny. So my chief of staff has access to a board of directors that I've put together that, people that I think are really smart, admire in a lot of different industries. In fact, Taylor Swift is on my board of directors
That's
because I think
awesome.
she's absolutely brilliant, but also Warren Buffett is.
Okay. Yes.
So
Yeah.
very diverse, very
Mm-hmm.
diverse. And I can go to the board of directors when I'm thinking about like, how do I launch this house rules app?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't launched it. I've worked in a lot of tech companies, but I haven't launched my own app before. So I can ask those kinds of questions and really go deep on those types of questions.
Okay. All right, we're going to shift a little bit and go to a lightning round. So,
Oh,
quick question answers. One app you use every week that makes life easier.
probably Claude. Every week, every
Yep,
day.
every day. One family system you'll never give up.
Oh, the family meal planning. Not at
Mhm.
all. Never give that up.
One system that you tried that completely failed.
The 5 a.m. workouts.
Oh, yes. A phrase your kids hear you say all the time.
I love spending time with my family.
Yeah. Favorite vacation spot.
Oh, we go to Ireland every year. My husband is Irish, so
Okay.
I think that is my favorite. We love going. I would wish we could go more often.
All right. Now, as you look back on the season of life, what's one thing that you hope your kids remember most about how your family lived out the systems?
I I want them to feel like we're so connected and that we have time to be connected. Um, I think the systems should really fade into the background
Hmm.
and they should support us like an infrastructure, but they're not the centerpiece. Like our family is the centerpiece. I also really hope that when my kids leave the house and go to college, that they sort of subconsciously create systems for themselves. Like, oh,
Hmm.
I get up, I go to bed at this time, like I have to go outside every day. Here are the things like I know how to make and I know how to eat.
Hmm.
No, of course they know how to eat. I know how to make to eat.
Hmm.
So I really hope that they think in that way as well, that they're bringing those forward, and spending most of their time doing what they uniquely can do or what brings them joy.
Okay. And finally, what advice would you give yourself as you were just starting out in your career?
I would have told myself to do the identity work earlier in my career.
Hmm.
Um, I I learned so much about myself, and I think early in my career, I only saw myself from like one angle, and when I did that identity work and did a lot of that coaching, I was able to have a lot more like self acceptance,
Hmm.
and that gave me more confidence too, a lot more confidence.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jen, this was so helpful. I love this conversation was about designing life with more intention. And for listeners who want to learn more about you or house rules or connect with you, where should they go?
I am J Kattula on every platform: LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. My website's jenniferkattula.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And we look forward to learning more from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christina. It was great to be here.
Thanks for listening to Tripoint Conversations. Make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with a friend or someone who's navigating their own next chapter. And if you know a story that deserves to be heard, or maybe that story is yours, head to tripointstrategicgroup.com and send me a note. I can't wait to keep this journey going with you and introduce you to more incredible people who are shaping their communities one story at a time.